Hi there. I'm Caroline, a daughter of younger onset dementia, and I have the pleasure of interviewing a sister in this space, Francesca. Young Wisdom, part of Lorenzo's house, is a heartfelt exchange between the sons and daughters walking the younger onset dementia journey. It's where lived experience meets insight, courage, and connection. We believe that sharing our stories empowers others to share theirs, ultimately building a more compassionate, younger onset dementia informed world. And with that, Francesca, would you like to introduce yourself? Give us a little background?
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Hi, my name is Francesca. I am 34 years old and I'm living between both New York and Los Angeles. I first learned about Lorenzo's house back in 2024 when I met Patty at a conference, and I've been embraced by and part of the Lorenzo's house family ever since. I'm a developmental psychologist and assistant professor of gerontology at the University of Southern California. And that's where I also lead the Falls Arena Family Caregiving Lab, which is named in memory of my parents. And it is a scientific research program that's dedicated to understanding, supporting, and amplifying the voices of families impacted by dementia from all walks of life. And more importantly, I am a daughter of young onset dementia and here to commemorate my beautiful mother, Angelina.
That's wonderful. It's unfortunate that we're both part of this club, but it's amazing that you're doing such meaningful work in her memory and in her honor.
Yeah,
So,
very good point though about being part of the club, members that we didn't ask to be part of, but it's an awesome community.
absolutely. So, kind of in that vein, what does Shine On Month mean to you personally? And how does it feel to have a day dedicated to remembering the light your mama brought who walked with younger onset dementia?
Oh, that's a great question. Silence, shame, and stigma just surrounded so much of my life. And many of my friends and my chosen family that I have today really never got to know my mom. They never heard her warm Italian accent, tasted her delicious cooking, or just felt the kindness that emanated from her. It was a light that just, it's hard to put into words. Fewer knew how to ask about her or talk about what we were going through. So to have Shine On Month means everything to me. It's a way to honor my beautiful mother's spirit. She was a fearless warrior, and to celebrate the woman who raised me. Before she passed, I made her a promise that the world would know her name and see her smile. So this month, this day lets me keep that promise. And it feels powerful to share who she truly was and not just what dementia took.
That's amazing. Since your mom's passing, how have you found ways to honor her and carry her spirit with you in your everyday life?
I keep my mom with me physically, emotionally, spiritually, and everything I do. Her signature is tattooed on my left arm, close to my heart. I actually keep her picture, and everywhere I go, she's with me. I make her world famous lasagna with very, very many meatballs from scratch on every holiday, trying to create those sacred kitchen moments that she kind of had built our family around. I honor her through my research, through storytelling, and sometimes just through the sheer will of forcing myself up in the morning when it feels really hard and heavy. But yeah, I touched on this. I've built my entire professional life around her legacy. So it's every family that's part of our work, every student I mentor or teach, every conversation that I have about dementia, I am carrying her forward. I speak about her strength, her dignity, and the resilience of all families that are impacted by younger onset dementia. And I want to expand how we honor and amplify those moments. I really try and live by the values that she embodied. So presence, kindness without judgment, and seeing everybody for who they really are, for the whole person, not just a diagnosis. So I really try to foster spaces, whether in my research, teaching, or around the table, where her unconditional love kind of has the opportunity to shine through.
She sounds incredible. Can you share maybe a favorite memory? I know this might be a tough question, but a favorite memory that kind of captures her essence, or really speaks to the light that she brought?
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely hitting on a theme here, but one of my most cherished memories is my mom in the kitchen cooking Sunday dinner, made at 2 o'clock on Sundays. Andrea Bocelli was always playing in the background, and that's where she was just free and joyful. For her, food wasn't nourishment. It's kind of what I said before. It was love. It was this heart and soul of the community that she led. And even as her disease got worse, those kitchen moments are still they stayed so sacred over the years, and like just thinking about it now, I can smell her sauce all these years later. Fast forward, during my mom's final week, we turned her hospital room into a place of joy. We had sunflowers, family photos, Andrea Bocelli playing, and my brothers and I laughed, told stories, ate food, and drank wine out of paper cups. And her eyes opened and they sparkled. And I saw her again. And it was such a beautiful gift of connection for me, a gift of redemption. I got to tell her all the things that I spent many years not telling her because I didn't believe she could hear me. And it was also a beautiful memory between a mom and daughter that I'll forever get to cherish.
I think that's wonderful. To that point, grief after experiencing young onset dementia, the ways in which we did, can be complex. What have you learned about yourself, or about love in your grief journey?
Oh, yeah. That grief and this kind of grief, this club we all belong to, is unlike any other form of loss because we don't have a physical death commencing it. You know, we are starting that process way before we lose that person physically. Just grieving a parent while you still desperately need them. You're watching someone just fade before your eyes and you don't have a manual for that. And that was the most challenging part of it for me. That grief really isn't linear. It comes in waves, and it's sometimes when you least expect it. A song, a smell, a moment in the kitchen that could bring you all back. And it's really complex and difficult. But what I've learned about myself is that I'm far more resilient than I ever knew, or really, to be truthful, than I ever wanted to be. Um, and I have come to a place of acceptance that we have to hold two things at once. I have the profound sadness associated with losing my mom, which 3 years later feels just as deep as it did that first day. And simultaneously, the profound gratitude for having had the time I did have with her. It's okay to be angry with the disease while still being overflowing with the love I have for my mom, but also that the most powerful response to devastating loss is to redirect that pain into purpose. And it also taught me about love itself. Love doesn't end with that last breath, and it really permeates every day in the small ways that we choose to honor a person. So it's in the research I conduct, the families I talk to, the stories I tell, but it love is going to be the thing that transcends the limits of what dementia took from us. Because really, dementia did rob me of so much. But my love for her and the love that I witnessed from her, that remains unshakable. And it's kind of the backbone of everything that I do now. So that ultimately, what I've learned, grief, love, two sides of the same coin. The depth of my grief is really a direct parallel to the depth of the love that I have for my parents. It's a badge of honor that I will wear forever with pride. And if I'm going to grieve this deeply, which I do, I'm going to make sure her light, her warmth, her courage, her spirit continues to shine through me and the work that I do in this world.
That's wonderful. How has being part of Lorenzo's house and the Shine On community supported your healing or helped you feel less alone? I know you mentioned the grief is very prevalent for you, and likewise, but what impact has Lorenzo's house and Shine On had for you?
Oh my gosh, when I first connected with Lorenzo's house, I was just so mind blown to be in the same space with so many other people who were just like me for the first time in my life. I felt like I finally found my village. And for so long, I carried the grief and isolation because it's not, I had people surrounding me who loved me, but just they couldn't quite understand what it meant to lose a parent in this way. Painstakingly, slowly through so many just pivotal stages of my life, the shame and stigma make it really heavy. So going to my first Shine On session changed my life. It transformed how I approach grief, how I approach this new phase of my life, and how I honor my parents. Because Lorenzo's house and all the amazing people there, they're the ones who really taught me how to celebrate her as a person, to speak openly about her. And I get to meet other people who get it, who understand kind of the vast depths of pain and complexity of watching your loved one, being taken from you while you're still on your way to becoming who you need to be. And Lorenzo's house really just shown me our stories matter. My mom's story, and that story really matters. And I don't have to move past my grief quietly, but I can transform it into meaning and connection. Um, and just there's something so empowering about being in this and sharing space with others who are on this path, because we're refusing to let dementia be the only story being told about our loved ones. And that's really healing to not be alone. And it's just beautiful that the love for my mom is shared and witnessed. And I have the really amazing honor of having other people also celebrate her. And to me, that allows her legacy to live on through all of us who choose to keep her light shining.
Absolutely. And that storytelling aspect is a large part of why Lorenzo's house does what it does, and why having this conversation with you is so meaningful, to them and to me and to this community. I'm curious what you would say, is the light or wisdom that you could share with other young people who are in similar situations to either where we were or where we are, whether you're still going through the process of loss, of their physical presence, or like us, you are past that hurdle, but are met with grief on the other side and how you choose to manage that. So, um, people might be deep in grief and unsure of how to honor their parents' memory. Um, what can you tell them?
The first thing I'd say is your grief is valid exactly as it is. There's no timeline, there's no right way to do this. And every time you force it, it seems like it's going to go in the opposite direction. If you're deep in it right now in the thick of that like devastating fog, you don't have to have it figured out. Um, but here's what I've learned: your parents' memory doesn't live in perfection or in grandiose gestures. It is in the small, everyday choices that you make, how you show up for people. It lives in the kindness you might extend to others because that's who your parents raised you to be. It lives when you tell their story, when you say their name out loud, when you refuse to let the shame or that crushing weight of grief kind of silence you. There is no right moment to honor them. Do it now in whatever way that feels authentic. You can cook their recipe, wear something that belonged to them, speak about them, create something in their name. Just let your grief be the doorway to purpose, but only when you're ready and on your own terms. I think the world wants to tell us how to grieve, and that's not how it works. And I think the best way to do that is just find your people, find the community that understands this loss. Like you said, we're part of a club nobody has to be part of, but we are part of it and we are powerful together nonetheless. And so you really don't have to carry it alone. But most importantly, it's just important to remember your parents' light doesn't go out with their last breath. It lives on in you. It's in the way you love, in the way you show up, in the way you choose compassion, even when the world feels unbearably heavy and unfair. That's where their legacy lives, and that's how we just continue to shine their light.
That's beautiful. And I completely agree with everything you said. I'm curious, since we are kind of chatting about your mom and in honor of Shine On Month, what do you hope people who were lucky enough to know her and love her remember most about her and about the collective light we share as a community?
I hope people remember that my mom was small in stature, but absolutely mighty in spirit. I'm 5'9", she's 4'11", so I don't know how that happened, but she was small but mighty. And she was a trailblazer in ways I don't think she understood. She led with her heart and just made everybody around her feel loved and seen and valued. And that's something that I want to continue to contribute to the world. She taught me that presence, not just just that presence and showing up is much more powerful than perfection. And I want the world to know that she was so much more than her 17-year diagnosis. She was a woman who loved fiercely, who faced an unimaginable journey with grace and courage. And yeah, dementia took everything from her, from us, but it couldn't take the essence of her soul, of her light, of that radiant spirit that made people feel loved just by being in her presence. So, um, for the collective light that we share as a community, I do hope people remember that Shine On Day and this month is also just as much about refusal as it is about love. Is refusing to let dementia have the final word, refusing shame and stigma, refusing to let the people that we love be reduced to a disease. And basically collectively shining a light and saying that these people matter, their stories matter, this light matters, and we do too. We're a community of people who have loved very deeply and grieved very deeply. And I think together we're transforming it into connection and advocacy. So we're shining light, not just in honor and remembrance, but I also think on a little bit of a revolution that we're forging against silence, against this invisibility, and against the idea that grief has to be born alone or look a specific way. My mom's light was always about lifting others. So I hope people on this day and month just see people, a community of unbelievable souls together standing in love and solidarity in just this fierce determination to keep our parents' lights burning bright. That's my mom's legacy. That's our collective legacy, and we're going to make sure that light never goes out.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Francesca, for chatting with me. I think this was an incredible conversation, and I am continually in awe of everything that you do.
Right back at you. Thank you so much, Caroline.